All right, Travels with Dottie here. Here's Dottie in the co-pilot seat. And today we are headed up to Parker, Arizona to the Walmart. I'm going to show you how to get there, and I'm going to set the timer to tell you how long it takes, but not from here, because first we're going to go by Patty's Propane, and we'll see if they're open at Sunday. I can't remember from years past whether I've dared to go there on Sundays or not, and we will see. And we're going to turn this thing and we're going to get going. The other thing I'm going to do before I completely get started is go and turn on high security cameras. Armed. All right. We're ready to go, Dottie. You'll see that it's not going to take too much time to get there. This beautiful sunny day. It is 10:55 a.m. and it is Sunday the 7th. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking I'm starting a new video. I already started this one. You already knew what day it was. So it's later today. It's 10:55. You got my walk with Dottie first. I forgot about that. I have a lot of long videos, so I want to either inform or remind you all of some things that you can do on long videos if there's a section you're not interested in. Depending on what device you're on, you can find a way to skip ahead. I think 10 seconds at a time, if I remember right. Or you can scrub ahead, but it depends on what kind of device that you're on. So look into that. The other thing you can do is, I was reminded that sometimes you go through these stores here and people want to see the merchandise and we go by really fast. Well, certainly on your phone, there's a gear icon that you can tap, and the top setting usually is quality, but under that is speed. You can slow the video way down. Now, if you slow it way down, I'd mute the sound because you're going to hear me talking. It's going to sound like to get to Patty's RV and propane. So turn your sound off. And right in front of me is Patty's Propane. And they're open. They're definitely open. I see there's a guy ahead of me. And there's Scooter's Cafe right here on the right. Great food. And if you want to do a camel burger, that's the place to go. So I'm going to shut this down here because you're just going to see me walking back and forth, and you'll be. So it was a little over $13 at $3.20 a gallon to fill an empty 20-pound tank. A couple of dollars for a tip. You know, I always make sure I just give them a good tip. They treat me well. So $15. And here, I'm going to start the timer. And we're going to see how long it takes for us to get to the Walmart from right here, from Patty's Propane. Now, just to remind you or to inform you if you're new, this is Main Street that we're on, and this is East Main Street. There's a big street called Central Boulevard, which is also 95, which bisects it and makes it the big intersection in town. And it's right up here at the stoplight. You'll see in a minute. If I go through the light when it's green, I'll be on West Main Street. So there's the Roadrunner Market there on the right, local market I like very much. So we're going to be taking a right and going north on Central, which is also 95, and we're pretty much going to take 95 all the way into Parker. There's a left-hand turn jog and then a right-hand turn when you get up near Parker, but I'll show you that. You don't need to worry. If you put it in your GPS, you don't even need me. But this will give you an idea of what the trip is like. I'll point out a few things as we go by up here. There's a bank up here, the only bank in town. It's up here on the right. And there's Shady Lane RV Park. But next to that is Arizona Financial. They have a ATM there. I'll warn you though, during business hours, if you do not have an account there, there's not anything they will do for you as a non-customer inside. And RV Pit Stop, it's kind of the iconic place in town to get propane and dump your tanks and get water. That's RV Pit Stop right here. Anyway, I went and I didn't pay attention to the screen, and I took out $200 and it gave me like $4 $50 bills. And you know, when you're buying stuff for cash around town in the tents, it's not great to have big bills. So I went into the cashier and I said, "Could you change this into 20s for me? Do you have an account?" "No." "Can't help you." I said, I just spent like, I don't know, it was $2 or $3 in the ATM to get the money that goes to your bank. Why wouldn't you change it for me? "We will not do that. I'm sorry, sir." So I talked to the manager, and the manager was even more adamant. So just be forewarned. I think there's another place that's it's a newer version of RV Pit Stop to the left there. They have dump station, and it's quite a bit bigger, I think. Dump station and water and propane. Now, up here on the right is East Tyson Street. I'm going to point something out to you up there. There is a medical clinic that's part of the La Paz Regional Hospital System that up until this year, I had my doctor there. I was very pleased, and I'll tell you in a minute after we go by why I no longer go there regularly. But this is the street, and you look to the right. Let me turn the camera. Well, I can't really turn it much. But right beyond, there's a sign that says La Paz Medical Services right there next to the fire department. The first building is the fire department. The second building is the clinic. I have Medicare, and they take that there. I have a supplement plan, so I don't need to worry about in or out of network. Just a Medicare provider. If you are from out of town and you have an Advantage plan, you may want to check and see if you're going to go there, if that's part of your network or whether it'll cost you more. So I ran out of a medication over the summer, so I called in to have them refill it. And the nurse practitioner I'd been seeing was no longer there, so they said, "We can't refill your prescription until you come in." And I said, "Well, I'm not coming back to Quartzsite I'm in New Mexico. I'm not coming back until December 1st. They said, you need to find another doctor to do that. And I'm like, so you don't do any telephone visits or nope, no telephone, no Zoom or anything, or the medical equivalent of that. And it made sense that now I have a home base in Artesian, and I'm there twice a year, 3 months apiece, so 6 months out of the year, to just get my medical care there at the hospital. There's a family clinic there, and they also do televideo. So if I need something when I'm either up in Eagle Nest or here in Quartzsite, I can get it done. So that's why the change. Nothing about their services. They were prompt and attentive and really helped me out a lot. Especially around the time I needed all sorts of tests and authorizations for my hip replacement surgery. And they put a rush on it for me. Very nice people to work in there, so I recommend it highly. Also, I've heard mostly good things about this La Paz medical system. There's hospitals up here in Parker, and there's also sort of an urgent care clinic and also an emergency room in Parker. So know that an emergency room is, less than an hour away. I went up there to the hospital because I had to get some kind of test done. I forgot what it was. That it might have been an EKG, and their EKG down here was broken or something. So I needed to go to the hospital, which I did. Very nice there too. Very quick, in and out. And I've heard stories from nomads about having to go to that hospital up there, and occasionally I'll read something negative, but mostly it's positive. Now, if you're wondering about really serious, urgent medical care, there is a helicopter in the area here that can get to you very fast and can get to you to, is necessary, like a trauma center. And it can get you to Phoenix pretty fast. Phoenix or Yuma. I don't think Yuma has a level 1 trauma center, but I know Phoenix does. But if you're not confident about your insurance paying for any life flight, you might want to look into and I'm not sure I need it with my Medicare, but I have it just in case. I think it costs about $80 a year. Med Air Care, I think is what it's called. And one of the things you can do is, they obviously don't cover every single medical helicopter in the country, but you can put in a zip code to tell you whether the local one is covered. And I did that. I'm covered everywhere I stay in New Mexico and here. So I pay I think $79 or $80 a year for that. But probably don't need it. But if you don't have insurance, or you're not sure what your insurance company is going to cover, those bills can be easily 5 figures. Anywhere from, I've seen, a low of like $12,000 is about the cheapest I've seen people reporting, all the way up to near $100,000, depending on the distance, the care that you get. The other thing that many people don't know is the decision to get transported by a helicopter is not the patient's decision. I think if you're conscious and alert, I think you can refuse it. Yeah, certainly you can refuse it and say, no, I don't want to go by air, I want to go by ground. And you'd probably, if they're calling, trust me, I'm an ex-paramedic, if they're calling for a helicopter, you don't want to go by ground. They're seeing, it's not a whim that they do it on. There's protocols, and often they'll have to call into the ER to talk to what they call medical control, explain to the doctor what's going on, and the doctor makes that decision. And but certainly it's the most senior medical responder on scene, or their guidance from their medical control by phone, that makes that decision. Some people think, well, if I buy the insurance and I call 911, they have to I could tell them I want to use my insurance to take the helicopter. It doesn't work that way. Okay, I think I might have missed a big thing here. That I've not been paying attention to the landmarks. Is the transfer station, or the where you can take your garbage for free, is along here on the left, and I don't know whether I've passed it or not. If I don't see it the next little while, unfortunately, I passed it. Now, one of the reasons it's a quick trip here is that it's the speed limit 65 miles per hour. But I've seen many the aftermath of many very serious accidents, mostly head-on collisions. So don't relax your vigilance on this road. Be ready to turn and brake at a moment's notice when there's oncoming traffic. Right lane ends, okay. Yeah, I wanted to talk about the medical stuff because people are new to this, my age or older, always worry about, how am I going to deal with medical problems if I'm down there for the whole winter. That's basically how I do it, and I feel pretty confident in that I could get the care that I need here, no matter what the circumstances. If you're camping out in the desert, you want to be in a position to be able to say exactly where you are. There are two things. You need to be able to drop a pin. If you don't know what that means, it's if you're on Google Maps and you press your location, it will give you the option to send a pin to someone who can send it, usually to 911. But that doesn't always work efficiently. Ideally, if you're camping in the desert, if there's someone with you, usually more than one person with you, because if you're really sick, you don't want to be left alone. But if there's an extra person or a neighbor that can drive to the entrance, especially at night, but it's also important during the day, to meet the ambulance and lead them in. That's the safest, most effective way to get the ambulance to you as soon as possible. And of course, if you're in an RV park like I am, you give them the address of the RV park and your space number. Keep that address handy. If you thumbtack a business card for the front office on your wall, or write it on a piece of paper and tape it to the wall. Same thing with, you look up, try to figure out wherever you are, the closest emergency vet. Pin that up, because in a moment of panic over your own health or your spouse's health or your pet, you don't want to be desperately searching for that kind of information. You want it at your fingertips, and it's a good idea to do that everywhere you can. As you can see, there's a little bit of desert out here between Quartzsite and Parker. And I got news for you. There's nothing else. It's what you see is what you get for pretty much the whole way there. Now the big part of the land in and around Parker is Indian reservation land. And I believe Walmart is on reservation land because it's right next to the casino. And especially during COVID, when they were strictly enforcing masks, they had tribal police posted out at the door. So if it wasn't on reservation land, you wouldn't be seeing tribal police. Now, it's 65, but not all the way in. When we get sort of to, it looks like the end of this road, but it isn't. It's on 95. You have to it's almost a T intersection. You make a left to go into Parker. through in your, that's where you're entering the reservation, and the speed limit changes. So be aware of that. I've not heard stories about people that get ticketed by the tribal police, but I don't take any chances. It certainly would be an opportunity for revenue because people travel this whole distance going 65 and maybe don't pay attention. I think it goes down to 55. But we'll see when we get there. The thing to prepare for when you come up to Walmart here, especially if you're making a trip in January, is it's crowded. You know, not only people staying in Quartzsite, but people staying around Parker. You know, just stay vigilant. Like, you see that Class A coming at me, the driver spills a cup of coffee in his lap and comes into my lane at the last minute. That'll be the last thing I ever see. So just be vigilant. It's a high-speed, non-divided highway. You know, the speed limit's 65. You're going to have plenty of people doing 75 and 80. And even two people going 75 in the opposite direction, that closure speed is like 150 miles per hour. So imagine hitting a brick wall at 150 miles an hour. There won't be much left of your vehicle. In the case of a collision like that, definitely the vehicle with the most mass does the most damage. So I realized I didn't show you two things. The Plamosa Road BLM area was up there a couple of miles outside of town on the right. A lot of people stay there. The transfer station on the left, but you can find those things out there. I was too busy talking about other things. Now you hear people talking about the Desert Bar in Parker. That's north of Parker, and it's a big complex that is multiple bars and musical venues and things to eat that is a few miles down out of Desert Road, and you know there's no utilities out there, so they have giant solar panels and stuff, and a lot of people go there. And the most often the question I get is, do I need four-wheel drive to get there? And the answer is no. Just about any kind of vehicle can do it. It's just you go slow. It's not a paved road; it's a dirt road, but it's pretty well maintained. I've done it a couple of times, and my truck's not four-wheel drive; it's two-wheel. Actually, it's, you know, they say two-wheel drive, but it's usually only one wheel is the drive wheel. But in my case, I have what they call a differential lock that I can turn on if I'm in any kind of a spot, and it powers both rear wheels, but not four, just two. So up here in Parker, there's a Safeway as well across the street from the Walmart. There's a Starbucks, but we're going to have in a few days, I think next week, rumor has it that the Starbucks in Quartzsite is going to open. There's like on the same road as Walmart, there's a like an RV place, RV and sports equipment, I wouldn't go there. I went there a couple of times and looked at prices, and a place like RV Lifestyles in Quartzsite has, I think, a better selection, and from what I looked at, better prices. See the T intersection coming up on my map. Once we get to the T intersection, I believe it's only about 5 more miles until we get into Quartzsite. Excuse me, into not Quartzsite, into Parker. There's a landfill up here, but that's not the one I was talking about. The place to dump your stuff is way back, just a couple miles north of town on this road, on the other side, on the west side of 95. Beautiful views of mountains in the distance, but we're definitely on the flat desert here, aren't we? I don't know that I needed to put the timer on my phone, and I see it right on the camera. It's 22 minutes and 42 seconds so far. It's right in sync with the stopwatch. So I've got 2 ways measuring it. You can see down the bottom of this hill, that T intersection. If you go to the right, it's Arizona 72. And then to the left is Highway 95, and we want to stay at 95. Those of you that are familiar with the annual Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, the RTR they call it, it's a meeting of like-minded nomads from throughout the country, started by Bob Wells with Cheap RV Living. That gathering started informally out on BLM land, out near in Skadden, Washington. You're familiar with that, outside Quartzsite. And it got so big, the BLM authority said, no, you can't do this anymore. So they went looking for a venue, and the only one they could find that was affordable was up here. There's after I make a left here, I think we'll probably pass the sign for it, but the La Paz County Fairgrounds are up here. So definitely for 1 year, if not 2 years, I think it was here. I'm going to say it was definitely in 2020 and maybe 2021. But then they after that, they got annually the town park in Quartzsite. And we have just arrived at the city limits. Stoplight, first stoplight you come to, and just remember to take a left here. But there's a handy dandy sign here. It says if you want to go to Parker or Lake Havasu, if you want to go back to Phoenix, make a right. If you want to go to Parker or Lake Havasu, make a left. Now, it's worth talking about Lake Havasu for a little while. I think it's about another 30 minutes or so north of Parker. And that's quite a place. Certainly economically much higher end than either Parker or Quartzsite. Not as much BLM land at all, but there are lots of RV parks, and there are some places, 14-day areas to camp up there. In Lake Havasu, it's on a lake. It's gorgeous. Great restaurants, all the services and stores you can think of. See, we made a left and we're still on Arizona 95. Lake Havasu City is 50 miles, Parker's 12. So what does that mean? It's 38 miles from here. I mean, it's 38 miles from Parker. That was a little off. But it definitely is 55 on this stretch. I don't even remember seeing the 55 sign back there, but I just know it's 55 here. And I think the line, there should be a sign that says you're on reservation land coming up here pretty soon. And there's the fairgrounds on the right. That's the turn for the fairgrounds. So people would stay in Quartzsite and go up for the day to the festivities up there. And it's a little bit of a pain in the neck. It's kind of far, right? It's from Quartzsite, it's a 27-minute drive. That's not nothing. For a couple of years, there was a ton of road construction going on 95 between Parker, between that intersection and Quartzsite. So it led to a lot of long delays on a regular basis, making the trek back and forth between Quartzsite and Parker. But it doesn't look like they're doing that this year anymore. Roads look pretty good. Somebody up there struggling just a little bit. They have their hazards on. And they're being, my friend David used to call it, when people would pull over like that for you, Texas friendly driving. I think those are Nevada plates, but he's doing what David would describe as Texas friendly. And I think this is the sign up here for the reservation. Entering Colorado River Indian Reservation, right here. Welcome to Colorado River Indian Tribes. So it's a mixture of more than one tribe, evidently, and I've forgotten what those tribes are. So if you're knowledgeable, put it in the comments what tribes are represented here on this reservation. Set at 55. Apparently I was set at 57. So two reasons it's important for me to go at the speed limit. One is I don't want to get a ticket, and two, I want to give you an accurate version of how long it takes. And if I speed or go slow, it's not going to be accurate. So know that the time I'm giving is going the exact speed limit and every step of the way. buy something, a power strip, and I did it on the Walmart app thinking I could pick it up inside, and it turns out after I did the order and paid, and by the way, those people passing me really quickly are pretty substantially speeding. I'm doing 55, and that's what the limit is. They're doing 65, 70 at least. You have to do curbside pickup, so I'll have to wait in the parking lot for my power strip and then repark again and walk in and get my medication, because they won't bring medication out to you for obvious reasons. And if I remember right, as we round this corner, we'll be seeing the city of Parker in the distance. We're at about 34 minutes. Feel free to scrub through this. You have to watch me drive across an unending desert, but some people like it. They like just sitting, especially in a big screen TV, watching the terrain go by. And as promised, as we round the corner, that's Parker down in the valley. Down in the valley. Isn't that a song? Down in the valley, valley so low. Can't remember what that's from. Ken will know. So those of you watching this going, looking at your watch going, when is this going to be over? It's going to be over when I hit the parking lot up here at Walmart. I'll turn the camera around, say my thanks and goodbye, and that'll be it. And I'll remind you, you can scrub ahead, you can skip ahead, or bail out and watch a different video. It's always an option. You're not going to like every video I have, that's for certain. Save the valuable thing that you give up for content that you really enjoy, because that valuable thing that you give is your time, and it's extremely valuable. And those of us on the north side of 60 understand that oh so well. Your time becomes, as you get older and older, your time has more value relatively to you. Oh, there is a casino here, Blue Water Casino. It's and by the way, the Colorado River runs right through um, town here, and the casino is right on the river, and they have on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's they have a $25 buffet that is fabulous. I've been probably 6, 7, 8 times over the years. I'll probably be going again. Now the speed's down to 45 up here, um, and I'll go again this year. Definitely for Christmas. I don't know about New Year's, but it's worth it. There's a Chevy dealer on the right. You need work done on a Chevrolet, or you want to go buy a Chevrolet, you can do that here. Now, the hospital, in the emergency room, you would make a left right here at this road. Um, it's Mojave Road. Make a left here, and you'll run right into the hospital. Can't miss it. Now, here, this is advertising Eastside Tire and Truck Center on the right there, 68 miles away in Needles, but also premium cannabis. So you can get your tires and marijuana, I guess. I wouldn't suggest using them both simultaneously. And to be fair to Blue Water Casino, it is not um, just those 3 days. They have good meal deals. Get on their website and look, and they have they try to attract truckers in for breakfast, so they have a really affordable breakfast. At least they did last year. I have to say that over and over again, that sometimes things change from year to year, but their website, Blue Water Casino, in Parker, you can find them easy enough. And there is a Ford dealer on the left here. Now you want to pay attention because there's another turn. You want to stay on 95. So up here, I'm in a good lane for it on the right. It says 95 North Lake Havasu. That's where you want to turn to go to Walmart. So Pizza Hut. And there's a Terrible's with a Starbucks drive-through in the same building. So I know it's going to be a left-hand turn, so I'm going to scoot over to the left lane here. There's a Taco Bell up here in a McDonald's. I can't remember which one it was. I got a funny story about it though. No, it's a Jack in the Box. There's a Jack in the Box right here. So I went through the drive-through and ordered like a sourdough cheeseburger thing. Here's the Walmart on the left, by the way. So I went through the drive-in, I paid, and then drove away and to the end of the driveway and pulled over because I wanted to get the video I did that day, edited and started for my trip home. And at one point, I said, "Boy, I'm hungry. I could use that." And I look around for the hamburger. There's no hamburger. There's no bag. There's no nothing. And right about that time, this young lady that works there is running out to my car with a bag in her hand. So you know what happened there, right? Rob just drove away without his food. And straight back there, you can't see it from here, but straight back there is definitely the Colorado River. It's pretty wide here too. And the other side of the Colorado River here is good old California. All right, so I've never done a pickup here, so I don't know exactly where to go. Cameras, reserve parking for law enforcement. There's someone crossing, so I'm going to stop. Oh, by the way, 42 minutes and 57 seconds. So 43 minutes, you can be parking easily. And I would have parked by now, but I'm looking for the pickup. Where do you do the pickup? There are pickup stations right there. This side too, I think. Yep. So the idea is to pull into one of these bad boys. Take your phone.
Are you for a pickup order?
I am.
What's your name?
Robert Wakely.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Go. Have a good one.
Well, that was easy, wasn't it? I didn't even have to touch my, I didn't even have to touch it. The app, she was standing out there with my purchase in hand. I'll show you. I know you're dying of curiosity to know what kind of power strip I got. But unfortunately, I still have to walk in there and get my medicine. So I'm going to park here. And you'll get me again. And this is it. A Philips Easy Fit Surge Protector. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 things. I'm not going to be plugging in 12 things. But it's I researched it, and it's you can get one of these for $9, but I wouldn't recommend it. You want to get something that is kind of beefy. All right. So that's going to be it for today. I'm going to go in and get my stuff, my medicine, and I'm going to turn around and come back. But you don't need to see the trip both ways, do you? I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for joining me and Dottie.